Hello and welcome to the Listening Post's unboxing channel on YouTube. Today it's with great pride that I'm sharing with you NAD's new T778. This long-awaited and brilliantly revered already AV receiver is feature-rich, packed with all of the BlueOS streaming features you would expect, latest HDMI, but most importantly what you'll see, it's modular in its design, and so you can put one of these in your system and should things change radically, either add a board or later replace boards as they become obsolete, keeping this in your system much longer than your average AV receiver. Not only does it sound amazing for both music and movies, but that future proofing that is so often bellied around with little resource behind it is so wonderfully implemented by NAD, and it will be highlighted in this unboxing. So, firstly, let's have a quick look. On the box, look, screen printed with a bit of information about the front, basic model information in multi languages, scan and serial number. Then we've got a line drawing of the back, implying already some of the inputs and outputs that it's capable of. And then one end, just a basic warning. I mean, we've got batteries and remotes and stuff nowadays. The only difference between this and how you would see it internationally is that we've got this little blue sticker. The package has been opened by the distributor and New Zealand power cord put in, but otherwise it will be exactly as you would expect in your home. Now before we drill in, I'm going to just highlight this big yellow sticker. The sticker is obviously highlighting that it's important that you do a software update. While these are in transit or being warehoused, a lot of compliance changes, a lot of things evolve as far as 4K, as far as all of these types of things that are now out there. Every latest version of television has some hiccup in our industry, so it's wonderful to see that they are highlighting promptly, quickly and right at the top. Do a software update as soon as you possibly can. Okay, so as we drill in, these are sealed closed with the basic clear packing tape. Opening them is very straightforward. The top of the box, or top of the product, is protected by an additional layer of cardboard to reduce the risk of that knife sort of catching something and inadvertently damaging a product underneath. It's quite a thick piece of cardboard, exactly the shape of the box. The next layer reveals something that's packed in place, and that's the user manual and setup guide. Removing that's very straightforward. This is a basic setup guide. There's 2-3 bits in here. Firstly, direct live from NAD. We've got a bit of information about the BlueOS Quick Start Guide. We've got some streaming information and other tidbits from the Blue Sound range. And then a basic quick start guide. We've got some warranty information in the middle of that. We've got an important safety instruction update. And then the basics as far as how to plug a few things in. Now getting the amplifier out of the box is relatively straightforward. It's beautifully well protected with thick closed cell foam, as you can see here. And in the bottom of the box, centrally located, is the accessory bag. Get rid of the box and drill into these accessories first. Not unexpectedly, we have a New Zealand IEC power cord. It's about 1.5 meters long. We've got NAD's comprehensive and learning remote control. It's good to see that they've returned, or at least continued to have, a learning remote in their range. The remote is protected with that sort of layer of semi-sticky plastic covering. The remote, as I said, is a full learning remote. So you can ask this and program this to do all manner of things. If logically you've got your Netflix set up on your television and you want the volume to operate the theatre amplifier but the channels to operate your television, you can do so in any particular way. It's very straightforward, and all of those can be utilised at the front as part of its programming. You've also got some unique buttons at the bottom relating to coloured keys associated with all manner of things, and a macro function to burst a string of commands out if required. You've got a second much smaller remote control. Now this relates to zone 2 settings. This is a 9-channel amplifier, so obviously you're able to set that to do a number of other things if required. There's a set of 4 AA batteries. Unusually for a domestic AV receiver, the next thing we have is a series of brackets. Now these are for rack mounting should you require it, and a few other screws and accessories associated with that. The fun stuff though is in here. This is firstly the direct microphone, and a USB dongle, so that the two work together and in conjunction to allow for this to go into a laptop or other device to ensure that it can use the direct software. There's also the BlueOS modules. Now these modules, it's a glorified USB module, so it comes with an extension cable which is often not required, and then the BlueOS units. Now this allows the addition of Bluetooth and BlueOS, as well as another USB, which is commonly utilized for wired or wireless networking. It's a simple USB expansion, and it plugs into the back of the unit very, very simply. Right, now looking at the amplifier itself, well, firstly the closed cell foam that is protecting it, you can see, is beautifully made to fit absolutely every curve of the amp. The plastic bag is perfectly designed to fit the unit. There's no excess, and a sellotape along the back. A couple of quick nicks reveals the back of the amplifier, and we've got a desiccant bag hiding in there to keep the moisture free. Some additional sellotape comes along one edge, which again simply nicks to allow for the bag to be easily slipped off. Got a brochure here about the internet upgrade guidelines, and again that relates to the yellow sticker that we saw on top of the box, and then a simple piece of paper designed to stop the top painted surface from being affected in transit by potentially those sort of micro scratches associated with rubbing and fraying. The amplifier's front is then protected by one of those sort of soft cloth bags. Right, so let's look at the front of the amplifier for the first time. We'll see it's very, very simple in its layout, mainly because this has a full function touchscreen. It's full colour, gives you all of the two-way communication associated with touchscreen control and BlueOS and navigating your music library. Also dive very deep into the setup of the amplifier if you require, and change all manner of things. However, over the top side here we've got the NAD logo. We've got a basic relay controlled on-off. There is an LED to indicate its status, and beneath it a 6 1/4 headphone socket. There's a few stickers along the bottom here revealing some of the tricks that this little amplifier has. As I mentioned, direct live, it's Dolby and Dolby Atmos, DTS and DTSX. There's Bluetooth. Now it features all of the latest and highest quality Bluetooth transmission and reception. BlueOS obviously enabled, that relates to streaming and the accessories we mentioned. It's 4K Ultra HD, and as you can see there, HDCP 2.2. It's AirPlay and AirPlay 2 compliant. It will play MQA files streamed, and is one of those generic high resolution stickers as well. It's modular in its design, and that's one of the critical things we're going to see in a moment. Off to one side we have a single USB input for audio. This is designed for thumb drive sized sort of things and maybe portable media devices, not the large very large sort of backup drives that are often used for laptops, and an HDMI input. Above it, of course, is a basic jog control for the main functions of volume, etc. Rocking it forward, we have a look at the ventilation. It's very well ventilated. It's got little perforations obviously in the grill, and then smaller ones beneath to ensure that dust doesn't settle into places it shouldn't. It's relatively deep, but again, it's not as deep as many others, so given its power, I mean this is actually NAD's power. This is 9 channel 85 watt, which is what NAD calls full disclosure power. Now, full disclosure is about when you are driving absolutely all of the channels simultaneously into full frequency response. Now this is hard out, and then measuring the wattage. Most amplifier manufacturers will start driving just one channel or into a very small frequency response, and the end result is a hugely sort of overblown rating for wattage. So NAD have gone very conservative. They rate their amplifiers in their full disclosure power, knowing that it will easily deliver more at any peak through any of its single channels or anything along those lines. In a more traditional rating, it's 9 by 140 watts, again declaring just how flexible this amplifier is to control any number of different loads and any number of different speaker environments. Okay, looking at the back, and this is where the fun happens. I'm going to start at the boring side of things. We've got a massive rocker switch, just listen to that, beautiful quality, and an earthed 3-pin IEC plug. Above that is a fan to ensure that the unit is kept cool. If I understand correctly, it is current sensitive, so if the amplifier requires the fan and then it hits a quiet patch, the fan turns off, just temporarily to ensure that you don't hear the workings of the fan should it come through a very quiet scene in a movie. You've got its outputs, all in a big row, so as far as identifying them and wiring them up, it's really, really easy. These are traditional 5-way binding posts, very straightforward as far as connecting bananas or bare wires, which would be the most common. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 channels, all that can be allocated and clearly printed for the purposes of being able to swap them around for zone configurations if required. Above that, we've got IR and trigger control as well as RS232. So you've got in and out cascading for 12 volt triggers and in and out for IR as well, enabling this to be part of a much bigger system if required. Or if you're running out of IR options or control options, you can trigger them through this. This will run a multitude of different functions. You can trigger projectors, screens, or most commonly, additional power amplification. Looking over here, this is the magic. This is why the investment in such a good home theatre amplifier has such a wonderfully long payback period, and it's modular design construction. You'll see over here a blank panel, right? This is just a simple blank. It's literally waiting for you to make an upgrade should it be required. Beneath it is an HDMI board. You'll see it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ins, 6 including the front, and 2 out. HDMI 1 and HDMI 2. Now should there be some change, some sort of necessity to upgrade or something along those lines to keep current with 4K or 4K high frame rate or 8K, all of these types of things, you just replace that board. Meaning this can stay with you for a much longer period of time than your average AV receiver. Over here is a traditional digital board, and with it some outputs for Atmos additional amplification should it be required. You've got 2 coaxial digital ins, 2 optical digital ins, and then 2 sets of analog outputs for those additional power amplifiers. Above it is traditional analog inputs, including an excellent phono preamp, and over to one side the ground for that phono preamp. The first 2 are marked audio, next one phono, then you've got zone 2 output, and then you've got the processed analog out, should this be part of a much larger system driving power amps, as I alluded to earlier. So, there we have it. NAD's T778 AV receiver. Features BlueOS, so all of your streaming, all of your internet radio stations, all of your streaming services, all of your music libraries, all in one. It will integrate beautifully with Blue Sound, so if you've got a Vault or other things holding your music, away it goes. It natively supports Spotify, Tidal and Deezer and all of those things as well, integrated via its touchscreen and its remote and its app, so it's awesome. It features both wired and wireless networking, and it's so easy to use and get the most out of. So there we have it, NAD T778 AV receiver, unboxed here at the Listening Post in Christchurch, New Zealand. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, subscribe to our channel.